Well, after punching a tag in early September on a nice buck, my next adventure took me to the mountains with Ted, Mitch, and Cole on an incredible elk hunt. After a week of chasing bugling bulls and exploring some of the most spectacular country I've ever seen, we're now into the month of October, and I'm looking forward to getting back in the field with a bow in my hand. For this hunt, I'm going on a 5-day truck camping, deer, and pheasant hunting mission. I'll be exploring and scouting new areas that will hopefully lead to an opportunity at a mature buck in the coming weeks, if not on this short trip. Now, the region I picked is largely open country with lots of agriculture and cattail sloughs and tree rows as cover. There will definitely be some challenges as most of the corn is still standing at this point, and EHD and severe winters have reduced deer numbers in this area in the past several years. However, there are several spots that I've e-scouted on onX that look promising. Well, that's a good sign. The first deer I spotted, a couple of bucks. They're just on the edge of the willows and the cattails. It looks like they're down there making rubs. Good, good, good. Looks like a doe to the right of them. Check that, doe and a fawn. Well, that's good, seeing deer right off the bat. That is encouraging. It's still plenty daylight. A little sparring match going on. Yeah, another deer right there, another buck. He's bedded right there. No, he's up on his feet. That's buck number 3. Spot looks like it might have some promise. A whole bunch of deer there. A bunch of does and fawns. Family group. And it looks like a little bit better buck. I mean, from over a mile away, you can definitely see his antlers. It's a pretty good looking buck right there. Oh yeah, I mean, once again, it's over a mile away. But, you know, pretty good looking deer. Disappeared behind that hill right there, but definitely on public. Let's see if he pops out yet at some point tonight. That moon just looks incredible coming up right there. I think it's a super moon. Looks like the Death Star rising above the horizon. Holy cow, that is incredible. That is so cool. I got another buck on the move here. It's one of the smaller ones that I saw earlier. I've seen a number of deer kind of work into this corner down here. And then popped out into the field. There was 3 does and fawns that did that earlier. That buck was kind of heading that direction. There's another doe that's heading to that corner, and I'm hoping that this bigger buck does the same thing. There we go. A couple of muley bucks. Nice bucks, too. Oh, heck yeah. They are both dandy bucks, but that one to the left, my word, his frame looks huge. A couple big muley bucks, super moon rising in the background. Off to a good start here, first evening. Have to get back to the truck and kind of digest everything that I saw and make a decision on what I'm going to do in this spot, but good start to the first evening here of scouting. Real good start. That's exciting. Came back out to the same spot this morning that I glassed last night. Oh, rooster. Being chased by a hawk. Oh, that's wild. He made it to safety. Anyways, glassing into the same spot that I was watching last night. I'm just on the opposite side. Just trying to get a better look at where those bucks were coming out of. But man, that one mule deer in particular, a huge frame, mature, big old muley buck. Would love to see him again and find out where they bed down at. Try to make a play on them because it's supposed to get really windy today. 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. Hopefully they're bedding on public or close to public. And then try to make a play on them. Oh, there's a good buck right there. What is that? Might be one of those mule deer bucks. Oh, what the heck is that? Yeah, I think that's one of those muleys. Oof, that's a good deer. Wow. I wonder if he's going to bed down in that taller vegetation. That would not be a bad spot. Oh, that's what I was hoping to see. Exactly what I was hoping to see. I lost track of him there. Oh, there he is. He's still behind that taller vegetation. Curious to see if he's going to bed down right there, if he's going to go somewhere else. Seems like a likely spot though. Vegetation around that patch is short enough that I think I should be able to see him if he pops out and goes anywhere else. And if he doesn't, then I would assume he's going to bed, or maybe he has already bedded in that patch of cattails. Be a good day to stalk one. Winds are supposed to be blowing 20-30 miles this afternoon. There'd be no trouble getting in there quietly. Well, I found a way to access the back corner of this public where I watched that mule deer bed down. I'm gonna have about a 1.5 mile walk in to get back in there, so not terrible. Hopefully he hasn't moved too far, but I would really like to see if I could find that bigger one. Definitely at least a year older than the other buck, the one that I saw this morning. But you know, I didn't see him for very long there. He just all of a sudden appeared right there. I watched him for a minute and then he bedded down. So it's very possible that that big one is right in there too. I mean, that's right where I saw him come out last night. Yeah, there's a deer right there. Looks like a 2-year-old whitetail buck. Right in between me and where I want to go. I don't want to spook him. I don't want him running back towards where I'm going. Looks like he might be moving down into the bottom here. Kind of coming towards me. Might be able to slip past him here. If he gets down low, if I hug the fence, I think I could get by him without him seeing me. He's looking down lower a couple times like there was another deer down in here, so I don't want to just completely ride it off and just go blowing by. There could be some kind of bigger buck down in here as well. Well, that worked out perfect. Just snuck past that buck. He actually bedded down in some thick cover. And I just scooted along the fence line really fast. I was kind of out in the open for a little while, but with this wind, you certainly couldn't hear me. It's supposed to stay up all afternoon. And even by the end of legal shooting time, it's still gonna be 15+ miles an hour, which is, I love that kind of wind to where you can get away with a whole heck of a lot more. I mean, on a calm day, I'm never getting past that buck like that. about 300 yards away from where that buck is bedded, or where I saw him bed this morning. Just gained a little bit of high ground here to glass down in there. Last I saw him this morning, he was on the very end of that patch of, I think it's Phragmites. But anyways, I think I'm going to slip back down into the low ground, work my way in to that patch of cottonwoods, and then that would put me within easily within 100 yards, probably 85, 90 yards of where I saw him bed. Whether he's still there or not, can't say. I was just slipping in here, just crawling to get out to the point of these trees. I've just been glassing as I go, just in case the deer were bedded somewhere else, or that bigger buck was bedded somewhere else. Sure enough, I'll look ahead of me about 200 yards, and there's at least what I think is the big one, and then another smaller muley buck. So perfect, they're upwind of me. I just need to stay low, get over, get that cover between myself and those bucks. But anyways, it looks like I found them in a good spot. The stalk is on. Well, I'm at 100 yards right now. Just kind of sizing things up here. There's actually 3 bucks in there. I think if I scoot over a little bit, go around this bush and go at them, I'm going to have vegetation, like trees, between me and them almost the whole way up there. So, looks like the biggest buck laid his head down. I could just see his left side in the grass. The second biggest one is facing towards me, and then the smallest of the 3 is facing the other way. At this point, I'm set up 20 yards from the 4x3 buck. The bigger buck, as far as I know, is farther up the hill behind the thick cover. But I can't get any closer because the 4x3 is right here in front of me. After thinking about it for a few minutes, I decide that I'm going to wait for the 4x3 to stand up on his own, and if he presents a shot, I'm going to take it. But in the meantime, I'm hoping the big buck will get up and move into the open where I can get a shot at him. So I draw my bow to make sure I don't have any obstructions, that everything is working properly, and now it's a waiting game.
Dang it, man. The buck just up and left. They must have just worked their way over onto private quick. I cannot believe that. That buck was bedded right here in the shade, and I snuck to within, it's just 20 yards. I mean, you can see the camera right there still. And it was just a perfect scenario to sneak in on them, you know, with all this cover in between me and them, you know, with these trees right here, with this brush, you know, they were all kind of bedded up here. And then eventually that one buck got up and moved to right here. But I mean, overall, it was just perfect. That was the smaller of the two bucks, and he was still, I mean, I was definitely gonna shoot him, and I thought it was all over. The only thing he really could have done for me not to get a shot was exactly what he did. He just stood up, turned around, and went straight up the hill fast, like he just got up and trotted off. I don't know, the other bucks must have been getting up and moving away, and he must have realized it, got up and followed him. So I quick came up here, hoping to get eyes on them, but they must have crossed onto private quick. There's a bunch of roll in the terrain there, and I couldn't see them again. They must have just wanted to get up, and they just had somewhere else they were gonna go. They were gonna rebed before they got up and fed this evening. That was just one of those hunts one of those stalks. It was just perfect. All the conditions were perfect. Got in here with them in this back corner, got right in their bedroom, got set up on them. I was ready for them. I was calm. Somehow, even with all that, like I was, the whole time I was feeling good about it. It's like, this is gonna happen. All of a sudden they're just gone like that. They may not be that far away. I can't do anything with them other than try to go get permission on that private land. So that's a heartbreaker. Have to see if I can get on them again, but that was close. That was fun. Back out on the road here, kind of in the same spot where I glassed those deer last night, where I glassed those mule deer from. Hung in there for a while, where I got on those bucks, hoping they would come back in there, but not sure exactly where they went. So I walked out, came back out here, got in the vehicle. Just thought maybe I could get eyes on them since they went in the direction of these fields where I saw them last night. But there's still a decent amount of cover. There's another tree line. There's more roll in the terrain. Probably spots that they're bedding before they come out to the field. But anyways, hopefully I can get back on them. I don't know if the other bucks were getting out of there, if something had spooked him, and then he caught onto it and left quickly, or what it was. But anyways, that was fun. Pretty much everything worked out right up until the last second.
Well, the next morning I headed back to the same glassing spot where I watched the 4x3 muley buck bed the day before, hoping to see him or the big 4x4 back in there again. But after several hours of glassing, I only saw a handful of deer and no sightings of the two big muleys. So I explored some new areas from the vehicle and eventually scouted a property that I had marked on onX as an area of interest. After finding some fresh rubs and a scrape, I made a setup for the evening where several trails converged, and despite the fresh sign and cool weather, all I saw was one squirrel. The next day was more of the same, with tough glassing conditions in the morning due to the dense fog, and once again, no sighting of the two muley bucks, or really any other bucks to go after. So I decided to move on and continue covering ground and explore new areas. And as I ended the fourth day, it definitely seemed as the deer density in that area was very low, and with the majority of the corn still standing, I was struggling to locate any bucks to hunt. But the good thing is, pheasant season was now open, and I decided to take a break from scouting and hunting for deer and head to the field with my shotgun and try to put some pheasants in the bag for some fresh camp meat. Just making sure I got cameras situated here. I've got a ridiculous amount of cameras from what I'm doing just for pheasant hunting, but that's how I roll. Head camera, 360 camera, got a chest rig, and then I've got the shot cam on the shotgun. So should all be pretty well documented. But I'm fired up, get going here. Hopefully put a few pheasants in the bag. Just a young of the year. Another young of the year. They're roosters. I could shoot them, but hopefully there's older roosters in here. Look at that.
Look at how deep that bird is buried in there. That is awesome. Heck yeah. First rooster of the 2025 season. That's why it's so important to mark birds really well, like not take your eyes off them where they went down, not deviate from it. Don't look around hoping there's another rooster right there. I went right to the spot where I saw him go down. I started looking about 5 feet behind me. That's a spot I had kept my eyes on. And then as I moved grass, back and forth, I'd look down in there. He was just buried down in there. I could just see the red patch on his face was the first thing I saw. I've just found a lot of times that when I get a good mark on a bird, it rarely deviates left or right. It's usually whether it's just a little bit deeper in than what I thought, or maybe a little bit closer. And I've learned the hard way in the past, like if you take your eyes off them, off the spot where they fell, because you're hoping there's another rooster, or you just get distracted for whatever reason, or more pheasants are flying up, if you lose your mark on them, it can be really difficult to find if you don't have a dog. And it's helpful if you have other people hunting with you. A lot of times they can mark the bird and kind of biangulate or triangulate the area where it went down, and you can help each other look. But when you're solo hunting without a dog, marking that spot and not taking your eyes off of it is hugely important. Just beautiful. That was awesome. I passed up those young roosters back there a couple 100 yards. I guess I technically could be limited out if I'd have shot both of them, but this is what I was waiting for, an adult rooster. Just passing on the young of the year birds that they don't even have their full plumage yet. They actually look more like hens, and it's hard to tell if they are hens or not, except for they got up cackling. That is awesome. Several hens right here. Just on the leeward side of this hill. That's what I was hoping for. Well, hoping for a rooster, but they're right there. When they get up with the wind at their back, they are cruising. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. He's right there. Oh, that was awesome. That was absolutely perfect. Gave me an easy shot. Look at that. That is picture worthy right there, just as he lays. Wings spread out. That is another gorgeous rooster. This little pit stop worked out perfectly. I've been hunting flat ground. Where I got that first rooster was a few miles away, and then just got up into some more rolling country. It's all fairly short grass. There's not a lot of cover here compared to what I've been hunting, but there's crop fields around, so there's food, and there is some cover here. But more than anything, I saw that there was just a little bit of roll in the terrain, so there's some leeward hills where the birds could get down out of the wind. Within the first 100 yards, I flushed those 3 hens on that first little knoll. I thought, well, that's perfect. That means there's probably going to be birds back in on this little bit bigger knoll right here. And then came in from the top and then just started to side hill it. That rooster was just right here in this thick cover on the leeward side of the hill. Gave me an easy shot. 2 afternoon roosters here after a slow start this morning. Finish this on out and see if I can pick up my 3rd. Perfect. Onward. Got about an hour left in the day here. Just got back to the truck here, breasted out one of the pheasants. It's gonna be my supper for tonight. Got a brand new Blackstone grill here, griddle on one side and traditional burner on the other. Get that butter melted here. Cut up the breast in a little bit smaller chunks. Like the sounds of that. This is gonna be good. Dressing it up with some garlic and herb seasoning. Yeah, that's delicious. Just season that with Kinder's garlic and herb chicken, Italian herbs and lemon seasoning. That is really good. Really flavorful. And that pheasant is delicious. Man, that's hard to beat right there. What better way to cap off the trip than with some fresh pheasant on the skillet. Just a little bit of butter, garlic and herb seasoning. But anyways, that's gonna wrap up the trip. Obviously had that close encounter with the mule deer. Was pretty excited to get into the action right away, and then next couple of days after that, it really slowed down. Never saw those big bucks again, and really didn't see a whole lot of deer after that. You know, not in that, you know, that spot where I got close to them and, you know, driving around, really didn't see much there either. But there, like I said, there's a lot of crops in still, and got a lot more exploring to do. Wasn't quite as productive on the deer side as what I hoped it would be, but that's all part of the process. Probably revisit this area in a couple weeks as things start to change, getting closer to the rut, where decoying, calling are gonna be more effective, but just laying the groundwork of scouting out some new areas. And you know, it's just a blessing being out here doing this, truck camping, deer hunting, pheasant hunting, and just enjoying all of this. But as always, we appreciate you guys following along, helping support us, and we'll see you on the next one.